Hi, my name's Blake Ryan. This is my design journal, just my thoughts of sort of what I did and how I got there for my role-playing game. Don't Pay the Ferryman. Now, you've got no idea what role-playing games are. It's just your cooperative storytelling, sitting around a table with dice and pencils and paper, and you sort of one person will describe a bit of the scene and the others will play the characters, and yeah, so you're just describing stuff. Okay, so it's the sort of pitch of what the stories are about is you travel between magical places as explorers, investigators, and agents. You decide how your mystical powers manifest, so whether it looks like gadgets or spells or war cries or whatever, that's up to you. You work for an arcane order, a church, a ninja ryu, or a ferryman, and you start with a familiar, a sanctuary, like a magical hideout, or the ability to create portals. Now, so character concept, players just can decide their style and theme. Their use of magic may appear as a war cry, assembling gadgets, martial arts, kata, crumping, playing bagpipes, tracing runes in the air, chanting religious words, or tai chi. Whatever it is, that's what other people see when you do your special powers, your maneuvers, whatever you want to call them. Now, mechanically, it's similar to the other Powered by the Apocalypse game. So when you roll, you're rolling your dice, and you either get a fail, a mid result or mid range, where it's sort of win lose. Something works, but something doesn't, or it's a win. You succeed in what you're doing. You just say what happens. A quick example would be in combat. If you get a mid range, you're trying to hit the bad guy. You hit him, but two of his buddies come in and to back him up. So it's good and bad, but it keeps the story going. There's always something happening. Now, the game's in a fantasy setting, but it's my own setting. It's not Tolkien. It's kind of half Asian, Japanese Edo era inspired, and the other section is sort of ancient Egyptian, Babylonian. So yeah, it's not the standard 15th century European stuff at all. But why fantasy genre? I feel it's underused in the context of magic is just set effects, and it's always, you rescue the princess for the king, but there's so much more you could do within the fantasy space that isn't being used as often. For example, your entire quest may be in someone's dream, going to other moons or other dimensions. It's just, it either doesn't happen often, or you've got to wait till you get to X level 10 to 20 sessions in before you can even do that. And I'm like, no, we play, to some extent, we play games for escapism. So I'm like, no, mission one should be on the moons or in another dimension or in someone's dream. Let's get into the fantasy of it. Yeah, let's get into it. There's a lot of things, sort of inspirations I was drawing on to create the game. Stargate, so you're always traveling to different places. But the portals between the places are either watched or guarded. It's not just we can go anywhere, anytime. There's a narrative cost of what's happening. The Lankmar books by Fritz Leiber. Mage the Ascension by White Wolf Games and Planescape. So it's not like Earth. There's some things, generally gravity kind of works and light and distance and all that, but in many ways it is different because we get to be on Earth every day. Let's go somewhere else when we're telling these stories. Why not hack another game? Because I wanted different elements from different games, not just a variation of one game. And I wanted it to be built into the essential of every part of the game as you're playing it. So from like Mage the Ascension and Awakening, open advancement after character generation. So you create your characters, you do your adventure, and then you get a bunch of experience points or advancements to spend. It's up to you where you spend them. How broad your skill base is or how narrow and focused you are is completely up to you. Like I mentioned earlier, you either start with a familiar, a sanctuary, or portals. After character creation, if you've got familiar, you can get the other two. You just got to buy them, and you just weave it into the story how that sort of happens. But you don't have to. You can go, no, I'm just going to get more and more spells, even though this character's skin is gadgets, and I run it as that. That's fine, but it's up to you where you go. It's not a set path. Every 3 advancements, there is a thing where you get a special quest, which is kind of like the 90-minute action movie midway through your TV series. It's where higher risk, higher return, and you sort of chuck around some ideas with the GM, and then they start rolling that into the plot. Now, back to the question of bits from other games. Urban Shadows, it has rivalry between different factions who are kind of frenemies. They're kind of friends, kind of enemies sort of thing. So group foes, get the words out, groups of foes rather than 500 individuals with 0 interaction unless the PCs are there, because that's not, the real world doesn't work like that. Also, you start competent, like the movies Van Helsing and Mission Impossible. You're not Joe Kid out of high school. You've already got some skills and you're getting into it, because it's not like when we're all back in high school or college, we all had all weekend to play. If you're lucky, we can get 3 to 6 hours for a game. So we want to hit the ground running. Dresden Files also was an inspiration. So there's strange events and places. It's not fetch quests. You're investigating and exploring things. And your contacts are a wide variety of creatures, not just the raw regular humans, because again, that's too much like real life. Okay, what else we got? Now, with the ability to create portals, it's not I can teleport anywhere. It's I've got set phone numbers or set coordinates to areas, and then I can go there. And if you say, oh, okay, my character's got the coordinates for the Fire Moon. Now, the Fire Moon's technically enemy territory. There's lots of nasties there. But you just say, okay, what happened last time you went there? And maybe they chased you. Maybe you're doing some reconnaissance for someone else. And the GM just writes a note and weaves it into the story. So your background and your capability is relevant, not just, it's all history and it's forgotten about. Magic is unreliable, and the PCs will turn to players will choose the side effects. It makes it more fun, and it generates story rather than this fireball or whatever spell does the same thing every time. It's boring, and it's just not as exciting. But if you make it up yourself, you might say, I don't want my fire attack spell to look like fire. I want it to look like a swarm of locusts, or just a dozen frogs popping out and singing in different songs at you. Go for it. That's what you want your magic to look like. That's what it looks like. And if at some point you want your magic to change how it looks, you just weave that into the story why there's a change. So each character has a vice and a virtue, because it gives depth to your character rather than just, I'm a murder hobo, I go around killing people for money. You've got 2 contacts, so one is linked in some way by your vice, like maybe you go gambling together or something, and the other one's linked by your virtue. And it gives you something to do. Like if you have the virtue of kindness, you might help orphans in between doing quests for your Ferryman or Arcane Order or whoever you work for. What else is there? The setting details are an overview. It's just sort of, this is a quick glance at this city on this country and whatever. There's plenty of room to add your own buildings, blocks, even towns in some of the areas of maps, because the map's quite large. And yeah, there's plenty of room for you to move stuff. It's just a guide. So, because like the setting book is like 100 pages, you can easily read it, and yeah, you don't have to memorize it. It's all it should flow pretty easily. Now, the characters, the heroes, they're different species. They're not mammals. So like dryads are plant creatures with multiple arms and legs. Cyclopses were descended from starfish. They've got one eye. Yeah, and there's some Tanuki and Nikomata, which are catfolk from Japanese mythology and stuff. So yeah, it is not the standard, elves, dwarves, and humans. There are elves and dwarves, but they're not like the dwarves are badger folk. Yeah, I wanted to make it fantasy, not they're all humans with a bit of facial reconstruction. It's like, no, we can do better than that. We've got the options to have variety. But on the other hand, there's no discrimination. Like, elves don't treat dwarves like shit. It's like, no, you can, why would you care if he's shorter and has different colour skin when there's skeletons and zombies over there trying to eat your village? It's like, you wouldn't. So, there's no discrimination in the games or in the setting. What species you choose is not affected, doesn't affect your stats. Your stats is whatever story you want to, you want to play a strong character, play a strong character. Your species doesn't change that. A species is just a role-playing thing. Because it's a cooperative story. It's not about a perceived bias of who thinks who should be stronger or is stronger. I think that covers most of it. Yeah, if you have any questions, queries, whatever. So yeah, it's called Don't Pay the Ferryman, players powered by the Apocalypse game. Yeah, hit me up on Twitter, Blake Ryan Batman, or Blake Ryan 74 Gmail. All right, take it easy. Happy gaming.